Top 10 most disturbing family crimes in U.S. history. They say blood is thicker than water, but sometimes the people closest to us can be the most dangerous. In today's video, we'll uncover 10 of the most disturbing crimes committed within families in U.S. history. These cases are chilling, tragic, and a haunting reminder that danger can lurk behind even the most familiar doors. Viewer discretion is advised. 10. The Watts Family Murders, 2018. On the surface, Chris and Shanann Watts had the perfect life in Frederick, Colorado. Shanann, a dedicated mother and successful businesswoman, frequently shared happy family moments on social media, painting a picture of love and stability. But beneath the smiles and picture-perfect posts, darkness was lurking. Chris was having an affair with a co-worker, Nicole Kessinger, and wanted to start fresh, without his wife or children standing in his way. In the early hours of August 13, 2018, Chris strangled Shanann in their bedroom while their daughters, Bella and Celeste, slept just down the hall. But the nightmare didn't end there. He loaded his wife's lifeless body into his truck and took his daughters, still alive, to an oil field. There, in a final horrifying act, he smothered them before disposing of their bodies in oil tanks and burying Shanann in a shallow grave. In a shocking twist, Chris went on national television, tearfully pleading for his family's safe return, knowing full well they were never coming home. But his web of lies quickly unraveled. After failing a polygraph test, he confessed. This case is a terrifying reminder that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who pretend to love us the most. 9. The Menendez Brothers, 1989. A wealthy Beverly Hills family, a brutal double murder, and two sons who cried crocodile tears. On August 20th, 1989, Jose and Kitty Menendez were watching TV in their mansion when gunshots shattered the silence. They were executed point blank with a shotgun. Their sons, Lyle and Eric, tearfully told police it was a home invasion, but something didn't add up. Instead of grieving, the brothers blew through their inheritance, Rolexes, Porsches, a $700,000 spree on luxury. Suspicion mounted. Then, the shocking truth unraveled. Lyle and Eric confessed. They weren't innocent victims of a robbery. They were the killers. Their defense? Years of horrific abuse at the hands of their father, while their mother allegedly turned a blind eye. The trial became a media frenzy. Were they calculating killers or broken sons pushed to the edge? Some saw them as spoiled brats who wanted their parents' fortune. Others believed they were traumatized victims fighting back. In 1996, both were sentenced to life without parole. 8. The List Family Murders, 1971. A deeply religious man, a mansion filled with bodies, a chilling letter explaining it all. John List appeared to be a devoted family man, an accountant, a devout Lutheran, a father of 3. But beneath the surface, his world was crumbling. Financial ruin, a failing marriage, and in his mind, only one way out. On November 9, 1971, List carried out a methodical massacre. First his wife and mother. Then, he waited for his children to return from school, murdering them one by one. As their bodies lay in the ballroom, he arranged them neatly, left a note explaining he couldn't let them face poverty, and vanished. Before leaving, he turned down the thermostat, stopped mail delivery, and played classical music, buying himself a month before anyone noticed. For 18 years, he lived a new life under a new name until America's Most Wanted aired an age-progressed bust of his face. A tip led to his arrest in 1989. At trial, List showed no remorse. He was sentenced to life in prison, dying in 2008. 7. The Turpin Family Horror, 2018. For years, they were held captive by their own parents, starved, beaten, shackled, until one brave girl made a daring escape. David and Louise Turpin appeared to be loving parents to their 13 children, but their California home hid a dark reality. The children were imprisoned, malnourished, and denied even the most basic human rights. It wasn't until one of the daughters escaped through a window and called 911 that the truth came to light. 6. The DeFeo Family Murders, 1974. David and Louise Turpin seemed like a picture-perfect family, 13 children. Smiling photos, a quiet home in California. But inside those walls was a nightmare. The children were imprisoned malnourished, filthy, chained to beds for months at a time. They were denied school, basic hygiene, even daylight. The world only learned the truth in 2018, when one courageous 17-year-old girl climbed out a window and called 911. Weak, terrified, but determined, she showed police the horrifying conditions. What they found was beyond belief: emaciated children, a stench of filth, and evidence of years of abuse. David and Louise were arrested that night. In court, they wept, but the damage was done. The children, some adults, struggled to adjust to freedom after a lifetime of torture. The Turpins pleaded guilty to multiple charges of abuse and torture, receiving life sentences. But the question remains, how did this go unnoticed for so long? 5. The Hart family murder-suicide, 2018. They were known as the perfect adoptive family. But what happened on the edge of a cliff told a different story. Jennifer and Sarah Hart were seen as the ideal adoptive parents, progressive, loving, raising 6 beautiful children. Smiling photos, joyful road trips, a seemingly happy home. But behind closed doors, a dark truth festered. The children, Devontae, Jeremiah, Abigail, Sierra, Hannah, and Sierra, suffered horrific abuse. They were starved, beaten, and isolated. Reports of neglect surfaced, but nothing stopped the cycle. Then, in March 2018, everything came to a tragic end. Jennifer Hart got behind the wheel of their SUV, her blood alcohol level over the legal limit. With Sarah and the children inside, she accelerated toward a cliff on California's Highway 1. The car plunged 100 feet, killing everyone. Investigators later uncovered the truth: years of documented abuse, neighbors' concerns ignored, and a system that failed these children. The case sparked outrage, raising questions about foster care oversight, racial bias, and hidden abuse. Was this a desperate escape or a calculated murder? And how many other children suffer unseen? For the Bain family murders, a case of tragedy and controversy. On April 23, 1997, the quiet town of Clarksville, Tennessee, was shaken by a brutal crime. 4 members of the Bain family, Gail, her daughters, and her son were found murdered in their home. The only survivor was 12-year-old Jesse Bain, who became the center of a chilling investigation. At first, suspicion fell on Jesse. Investigators questioned his account of crime, and the pressure of being the sole survivor made him an easy target. However, the case took a shocking turn years later when new DNA evidence linked the murders to Paul Dennis Reed, a convicted serial killer known for a string of fast food restaurant murders in Tennessee. Despite the DNA evidence, controversy still surrounds this case. Some believe Reed was responsible for Bain family's deaths, while others argue that lingering doubts about Jesse's involvement remain. The case has sparked debates about wrongful accusations, the failures of the justice system, and how quickly suspicion can fall on the wrong person. 3. The Powell family tragedy, 2012. A horrifying end to a tragic case. The disappearance of Susan Powell in 2009 led to a shocking conclusion 3 years later. Susan Powell was a devoted mother, but behind closed doors, her marriage to Josh Powell was crumbling. Then, in December 2009, she vanished without a trace. Josh claimed he took their young sons, Charlie and Braden, on a midnight camping trip in a snowstorm. Suspicious, but never charged, he walked free while Susan remained missing. For years, Josh remained the prime suspect. But in 2012, the case took an even darker turn. During a supervised visit with his sons, Josh locked the social worker outside, doused the house in gasoline, and set it ablaze, murdering Charlie and Braden before taking his own life. The world was horrified. How was he allowed access to his children? Why wasn't he arrested? And where was Susan? The truth may never be fully known, but the Powell case stands as one of the most chilling examples of domestic horror, a tragedy that should have been prevented. 2. The Yates family tragedy, 2001. On June 20th, 2001, a horrifying crime unfolded inside a suburban home in Houston, Texas. Andrea Yates, a devoted mother of 5, methodically drowned each of her children, Noah 7, John 5, Paul 3, Luke 2, and 6-month-old Mary, in the family bathtub. But this wasn't an act of pure malice. Yates was suffering from severe postpartum psychosis, a condition that distorted her reality. She believed she was saving her children from eternal damnation, convinced that she was an unfit mother and that the devil had taken hold of her family. After carrying out the killings, she calmly called 911, and then her husband, Russell Yates, confessing to what she had done. The case ignited nationwide debates on mental illness, the justice system, and the failures of medical intervention. Yates had been in and out of psychiatric treatment, yet she was left unsupervised despite prior suicide attempts and warnings from doctors. Initially convicted of capital murder, she was later found not guilty by reason of insanity and committed to a state mental hospital. Her case remains one of the most tragic examples of what can happen when severe mental illness goes untreated, raising haunting questions about responsibility, justice, and the failures of the system. 1. The JonBenét Ramsey Mystery, 1996. Perhaps the most infamous family crime mystery. Who really killed JonBenét Ramsey? On Christmas morning in 1996, the Ramsey family's idyllic life turned into a nightmare. 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey, a child beauty queen, was found murdered in the basement of her Boulder, Colorado home, her body covered with a white blanket, duct tape over her mouth, and a garrote around her neck. A ransom note had been discovered earlier that morning, demanding $118,000, eerily close to the amount of her father's recent work bonus. The investigation was a disaster from the start. The crime scene was contaminated, crucial evidence was mishandled, and conflicting theories divided the public. Some believed an intruder had broken in and killed JonBenét, while others were convinced her own family, her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, or even her older brother, Burke, knew more than they were saying. Despite decades of speculation, multiple suspects, and advanced forensic testing, the case remains unsolved. Every new clue leads to more questions and answers, leaving JonBenét's murder one of the most infamous cold cases in American history. Family is supposed to be a safe place, but these cases prove that sometimes the most terrifying dangers come from within. Which case shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more chilling true crime stories.